With this workflow, you can have your very own weather bot that pulls the weather from anywhere in the world and gives you current conditions, 1 day, 5 day, and 12-hour hourly forecasts absolutely free using the free AccuWeather weather service. All right, and let's just quickly take a look at how this guy works. So what we do is all you do is you have it connected to Slack. I guess you could also use another messaging system like Telegram or something like that. Just you do have to fix some of the memory that goes on. So I build all of my bots to be integrated into Slack just because I have them all in one place and I give them all different kinds of features and really I actually technically hook them all into one bot. Maybe I'll tell you about that later. But all we do is we come here to Slack and we say, what is the weather going to be like tomorrow? Maybe not tomorrow. In 3 days. All right, we'll say 3 days. All right, and we should just wait a second. It'll come out with a response real quick. And there we go. 3 days. It says we expect 97 here in Las Vegas. All right. And I expect it to be windy, gusts up to 30. That's awesome. So we come over here to our executions. We'll see that my bot ran. Let's double check, copy this all over to editor. And it came over here, came down to this path, checked my 5-day forecast. And my 5-day forecast got me, it expects to be 93. Yeah, okay. How about the wind? It's in here somewhere. All in winds. There we go. So wind expects 11.5 with gusts up to 25.3. All right, is that what that said? Around 30 miles per hour. It rounded. Okay, so that's what it does. It's able to pull the current conditions, the 1 day, the 5-day, and the 12-hour hourly. As always, you can download this n8n workflow for free from my free school community where we give away over 30 different business-focused workflows ranging from social media posting bots, executive assistants, lead and email scrapers, and more, with new free workflows coming out every week, along with tutorial videos, how-to guides, and a community of automation-focused business owners all looking to collaborate and grow their businesses with AI-powered automations. You can also join our advanced community for weekly tech support calls, marketing and business growth discussions, as well as getting to pick my brain on n8n, AI automations, or business in general. Now, I'm going to go step by step, just so you understand how this workflow actually functions, though. I have 3 sections. So I have what I call a local section down here. We have a country section here, which is currently set to North America. And then we have a foreign section up here. And probably when I give this out, I'll have like sticky notes with colors and labels to explain what each section is. And so you will have to update this for yourself for where you're at, because I currently have it hard-coded in a local, country, and then foreign methodology here. And for me, local is Las Vegas. So I've actually hard-coded the number, the city code to be Las Vegas. Yeah, it doesn't have any past conversations. That's fine. I don't have to worry about that. It scared me. It was red, but it's okay. So I have my city code here, which is for Las Vegas, and I'll cover all of this in just a second. I just need you to understand how to set this up for yourself before I do it step by step. All right. For this one, if you are not in North America, you'll want to set it up. Here, let's come over to make this an expression. Set this up. It says it's currently set to North America, and here are the country codes. You'll want to set it to your current continent or whichever continent that you want to be pulling from as far as searching other cities easily in your kind of geographic region. I guess technically you don't even need the second section. You could get rid of it. I just like to have it because it's less calls to AccuWeather. I do have another video on how to set up the AccuWeather API service and get the free AccuWeather service, and that link is in the description down below. Just be aware, I think you're only allowed 50 calls per day, which, I mean, it's enough. It's not like you're going to be asking the weather too often. But if you ask too many foreign, you get at least 3 calls every time you ask for a foreign location. And so within your geographic continental region, it's only 2 calls. And for your local, it's only 1. So just kind of be aware that's how it's set up. Foreign covers everything, really covers everything. This one covers North America at the moment. You can adjust it. And this one covers Las Vegas. But again, that's just as simple as finding what your city code is and then getting it and putting it in, hard coding it in. Okay, so how does this work? Kind of step by step. If you've seen my other bots, you'll kind of recognize this section right here. This is how I have my bots get information from Slack, either audio or text. All right, so we make sure you set up your Slack credentials. In order to set up your Slack credentials, I have a link in the description below on how to do that. But you'll want to set up your Slack bot. Make sure you have the right bot. You're searching for any event in a channel. Pick the channel that you want to communicate in. Make sure to ignore the bot. If not, then it creates this recursive loop. It's no good. All right. We run it through a code node. The code node pulls out the information. I'm not going to go through it too much for you here. It's pretty much the same as all my other bots. If you've watched my other videos, it's all the same code nodes. But we're pulling the session ID, the user, the text, so meaning the message that we're sending to the bot, the timestamp of when this is being sent, the thread timestamp if it exists, and whether it's a thread and if there's a file attached. Now the text may not have anything in it. That's because if you send an audio message to the bot, this will be empty, but you will have a file. Okay, that all gets then passed over to this switch here. The switch is searching for an M4A file. It's not going to find it because it doesn't exist. I just sent text. That's why it's red. And then if it's text, it will go down this path, and we see that's exactly what happened here. All right, it'll go down, text will go down this path. It just simply reclassifies it as text, and it makes it so that's the only item coming through. If it's audio, the audio gets downloaded as a binary file. You need to make sure that you have your Slack OAuth 2 credentials set up in here for this HTTP request node. You're going to be pulling from the URL private download link from Slack. And then we're downloading it as a response file, response format as a file, and the output is binary. That binary is being uploaded into an OpenAI transcription model. So resource is audio, operation is transcribe a recording, and we're pulling from binary, which was the name of the file we just downloaded if you use audio. All of that gets put into this set field node, which maps items. So the text gets turned into text, user gets logged, the timestamp gets logged. If there's a thread timestamp, that gets logged as well as the session ID being coded whether a top level, meaning the top of the thread, or within the thread, including the thread timestamp. If it's a top level, well, either way, all that information gets passed over to this merge node from the set field node. It also comes down to this if node. It checks that session ID for the word top. If it includes the word top, then it bypasses our Postgres memory. Because if it's a top level thread, there's no point in searching for the thread history. You're not pulling any information. But if it does not include top, it will come down here to our Postgres node doing an operation of select from a public schema and your table that you have for your chat to communicate with your chat bot. And to set up your Postgres account, I have a link in the description below on how to do that. All right, so we're just pulling 20 conversations. We're basing that on the session ID. And we're doing that because the session ID is what's going to get put in at the very, very end of every single one of these options for the human message. A human message gets session ID, as well as the robot message is right there. Okay, so all of our information to the bot is being tracked based on the session ID. Session ID is being logged either as a top level message or as the user ID plus the thread timestamp. And at the end of every path, it always creates a thread timestamp. So everything is logged based on the thread timestamp. So really, we just check if there's top, whether or not we're going to bother searching the Postgres node. If you try to search the Postgres node and you don't actually have any session IDs, you break the whole thing. That's why I skip over it. Anyway, so then we go through this code node. This code node sorts all of our previous conversations with the bot in chronological order, human, robot, and outputs all that information. So it outputs it as, where is it here? So our session ID, our messages, the combined content of all of those messages. We include a previous conversation chain. And I do that because if you want to integrate this tool into another bot rather than having being a standalone bot, it allows the tool to be able to be tracked rather than just calling one bot or one agent at a time. You can have conversations across different tools and be able to continue to track what was the last thing the bot did. All right. And then that all gets put into a merge node. The merge node is matching fields with a combine mode. We're matching based on the session ID, keeping the matches, and both inputs are merged together. So we get all of the information in one big squished thing like that. All right, and so that's kind of how all of my bots start right there. All right, so then the actual bot itself then comes over here. We have an agent who looks at our message. It's looking at our user ID, it's looking at our past conversations with it and our current conversation. And this bot is supposed to make one determination, just one. It's asking itself, are we talking about a foreign city, a North American city, or my default city? And you would want to change this, unless you also live in Las Vegas like me. You'll want to change this prompt here to include your local city. And if you want to change the continent, you'll need to change that as well. All right. Other than that, foreign is pretty much foreign. Just make sure to change it's outside of your continent. If you're going to keep the kind of the 3-step system I have here. All right. And that's all it does. It really just kind of checks, what's the weather like in Paris tomorrow? Well, for me, that's a foreign city. Will it rain in Toronto tonight? That's in North America. What's the weather looking like? Well, I didn't say anything, so it's going to mark it as default. So I mark it as default. That way you can swap out the name fairly simply. Instead of Las Vegas, you would just, any iteration of Las Vegas, just switch it for your city. Maybe what I would do is I would take this system prompt, put it into ChatGPT, and tell it, hey, any reference to Las Vegas, change to your city. Any reference to North America, change to your continent. Okay. And then what it does is it then runs it through this switch. The switch is checking whether we're talking about foreign, North America, or default, and default again being your local. All right, so here the bot went down local. Might as well follow it for now just to kind of show you how it works. It works pretty much exactly the same when we get to this if node on all 3 paths. So that section there, and then this section here are the same exact process. There's no difference whatsoever. All of the code is the same, other than some of the linking to make sure it worked right. All the functionality is exactly the same. The only reason I duplicated it 3 times rather than making an additional workflow and then just doing like an execute workflow, or even finding a way to like merge it and combine it, is I just wanted it to look like this is one section, this is one section. I didn't want it to like accidentally like look like it flowed back into itself and confuse anybody. So that's why it's broken into 3 sections. I didn't want to have to give you an extra workflow to figure out how to add in and re-hook up everything. Just I wanted to give it to you like this. All right, and so for local, so assuming you have your city set up, mine's Las Vegas, like I said, we give it today's date time. We give it our past conversations. I don't have any past conversations, so it didn't pull any. And our current conversations with it. And then in here in our system prompt, you want to set the city code for the AccuWeather city code for your specific city. In order to do that, you go to the AccuWeather website and you're going to log in. So I'm not going to log in because I actually have to put my password. But just go to developer.accuweather.com. If you followed the process of setting up your credentials, you would just come in, you would into your bot, and you would do a test. You would look at the endpoints is what you're going to be looking for, and then you just do city searches. You do first start with a country search, find out what your country code is, then find or your region code, and then you start with your then you do your country code after. Let me slow down. Region code, country code, and then city code. And it's all, you can play around with it all in the AccuWeather platform here. Once you know what your city code is, and it's just a string of digits here, you just put them right in there. All right. You also put it in there. And let's see, any other place you need to put it in all of these. You would want to, again, probably just run it through ChatGPT to replace all of the city code numbers with your specific city code. All right. So I hard coded it in here. And then that'll do it. You'll pass on it'll pass on an output of city code, the current conditions, and the forecast request that you're making. And so I guess I should explain. I'm almost there. I'm almost to the actual functionality. Just give me a moment. So again, that's the output parser, city code, current conditions, forecast request. And so then we come to this if node. And this if node, like I said, is the start of kind of where all of the other bots are exactly the same as this one. So from the if node on, all the discussion is exactly the same. And so this if node is going to check whether you are requesting the bot to give you current conditions for that city or for that place that you asked about. All right. The bot will only give you cities. It's not going to give you the weather for Asia. Asia's too big. The weather's different all over, right? You got to pick a city. So, Quebec or shoot, what's a city? So Cairo would be a city in Africa, right? You have to pick a city. Once you've picked a city, it's going to determine whether you're asking for current conditions. If you're doing current conditions, it goes down this top path. If you're not asking for what the weather is right now, it's going to go down this bottom path, and it's going to go through one of these other three, which is a 1-day forecast, a 5-day forecast, or a 12-hour hourly forecast. And that's pretty much all you're allowed to do on the free AccuWeather service, unless you're looking to pay a significant amount of money to get more detailed information from AccuWeather. This is pretty much all you're going to get. So again, current conditions go on the top path. Anything into the future, so later today or tomorrow or 3 days from now, or what's the weather going to be like 7 p.m. tonight, if you're 12-hour hourly, right? If you ask about specific time today, it'll give it to you coming down one of these three paths. All right. And these are more or less all the same. It's just slightly tweaked. So I'm going to go kind of one after another. So the top one is checking for local conditions. It doesn't even have to say Las Vegas. This could say local. And we have this URL. So our URL is http://dataservice.accuweather.com/current-conditions/v1/ and then we have our JSON code that puts in our city code. All right. So this can probably just say local conditions. I'm going to leave it for Las Vegas so when you come in and you download this yourself and you're like, oh, I should update it. It says Las Vegas to remind you to update it unless you live in Las Vegas. All right. We don't need any authentication because we're going to be sending that through our query parameters. We have to have you have to have 2 query parameters. And I have a third one here that gives you more information. So let me cover that. You need the API key. So just API key. And then you would copy and paste in your API key. Never share your API keys online. As soon as I'm done recording this video, I'm going to delete this and create a new one so that my bot works again. All right. So it's just here to show that it was working, and here's an API key. So it's gone. Don't worry about trying to copy that one. All right. We have language. Now you want to set your language to your language code. If it's not, US English, so en-US, then I would recommend going and searching for what your language is supposed to be and then putting the code in there. And then I have another one called details. So details, when you set it to true, gives you extended details from the weather forecast. If you don't have details set to true, or if you just have it default, then it's going to give you the temperature. It might give you the wind, but that's pretty much all it gives you. It doesn't give you basically anything else. So by setting it to true, it's going to give you the humidity. It's going to give you the smog factor. It's going to give you all kinds of extra information that you could then move forward and process however you want using an AI agent. All right, and that's it. That's all of the local path nodes. So all of them are otherwise the same. They all say Las Vegas current conditions, and that's just because I didn't change it. So foreign city current conditions, it's the same thing. So current conditions with our city code, it's all the same API key, same language, same details. Okay. So then we run through an AI agent. The AI agent takes our previous conversations, so what we've said in the past back and forth with the agent, our current message to the agent, current date time, and then we grab our general weather information from the output. We're going to grab our precipitation information from the output. precipitation type, so whether it's snow or rain or fog, our temperature, and we do it, I did it here in imperial. If you want to change it to metric, then you're going to have to change this. I think you would just change that word to metric. Should do it. I don't know if it's capital though. Do play around with it to figure that part out. But then we run it through our AI agent. Our AI agent takes all of that information and is going to report back in a friendly, kind-hearted way, but it's not going to just say high of 78, low 55, 40% chance of rain. I don't want my robots to sound like robots. All right, do not sound like a robot app or system alert. Doesn't say that it uses AccuWeather. I don't care. I want it to just pretend like it knows the answer. I just want it to tell me the weather like I'm asking somebody. So it's a friend who knows when to bring a jacket, a voice that turns a storm cloud into small talk, right? And so it'll mention the weather naturally. Oh, it's hovering around 85 degrees, warm enough to wish for some shade, right? Warn about rain or wind without being technical, and weave the facts into an easygoing, polished sentences. I want my bots to sound like bots, or not bots. I don't want them to sound like bots. I want them to sound like a real person, because that just seems weird if I'm talking to a robot. So we get a bunch of examples, how to respond. Takes all that information. It's then going to run it through what I'm going to call the ending path of basically all of my bots. If you've seen pretty much any of my other tool bots like this is how they all end. I send the message to Slack. I then do a set node, and I do 2 Postgres nodes. And that's because this is how I send the message to myself, or I respond to myself, and then I upload all that information of the conversation with the bot and myself to my Postgres memory for further conversation. So it's not just one shot. I might ask a follow-up question. I might say, hey, based on that, what's the weather over there? And he'll give me that one as well. All right, so the Slack node, again, we set up our Slack credentials with our bots. Operation, our resources message, operation is send, sending to a channel. Our channel is our bot channel, whichever one you have. Our message is the output from the previous agent. And then we're gonna link the user and channel names and use our timestamp from way back original to be able to respond to the thread. All right, all of that gets put into a set node. We log the session ID, and that's based on the thread timestamp. All right, we log the text from the agent, the user ID from way back at the beginning. We're logging the previous conversation chain as weather, and then time added will be right now. We then upload the human message to our Postgres memory. So insert is our operation, schema is public, into the table of your message, wherever you keep your bot messages at. We're logging our session ID as that JSON.session ID we just mapped. And our message is type human. Data will be content. So this is the actual message. And we have, we're going back to the merge node way back at the beginning. The first.json.text, that's the call to it. And then we have all these extra replaces, and these replaces strip out extra punctuation and things that are going to break the upload to Postgres. So quotation marks or curly braces or extra line breaks that may not necessarily work in there. We just strip all that out so it doesn't break. And then we add the time, and the time is to allow the code node to be able to make sure that all of our messages are put into order. And so when we pass previous conversations on to agents, everything is always in line in the order that the messages came in. All right, so that's the human message. And then we do the robot message. And so again, insert is our operation, schema public, into our chatbot memory, the table. Same session ID. And then here our type is bot. Data content will be the message. It'd be the Slack message node that you're calling. So this one happens to be 12. This one's 1. This is none. This is 9. Numbers are all over the place. I guess you could name them if you want. They don't particularly matter. Just make sure you're referencing the right one in the right path. And then it's item.json.message.text, doing all the same replaces. We log our time. It looks like I do it twice. I do it in the message and separately. And we're responding to the user. And that's there just in case sometime in the future, if you want to do a call into your database for any messages that the user has received, I include that. That way you can get the bot messages back as well. See what the bot what it said to the user, not just the user's messages. And our previous conversation chain is weather. Okay, So all the rest of the endings of all of these things are exactly the same. I'm not gonna repeat myself when I come up here or any of this. Okay. So, so that was current conditions. If we're asking for any future conditions, whether 1 day, 5 day, or 12-hour hourly, come down to the switch. And the switch is going to base it based on what this bot here, this process local, is thought it was supposed to do. I think that's the one I'm checking, right? Let's double check. Process local, yeah. And so it's this agent here is processing your message and determining whether you were asking for current conditions, 1 day, 5 day, 12-hour hourly. All right. And so down here, when it would output it as the forecast request. So it's either going to say 5 day daily, 1 day daily, 12-hour hourly, or current. And so it just maps it to the right path. In this case, it was 5 day daily because I was asking for 3 days into the future. And so that falls under 5 day daily. It's not tomorrow, and it's not 12-hour or within the next 12 hours. So that's 5 day daily. And it came down this path, which it's supposed to. And it's pretty much the same node, except the only difference is here in this part of the endpoint. It's the call to AccuWeather. So here for current conditions, we had current conditions /v1. For the 5 day daily, we have forecasts /v1 /daily /5 day / and then our city code. All right, so it's a little bit different. Again, all we're passing is our API key. Never share your API key. I'm going to delete it. Language and details. And then it's pretty much all the same. It's just going to, I'm fairly certain it's exactly the same prompt too. There's no point in really showing too much here. The only thing is that this here, so the input, the incoming weather data looks just like nuts, right? There's just so much information here. I'm basically passing all of the information for that 5 day daily into this in order for it to be able to pull out the day I asked for. All right, because it's not going to pull just day 3 of the 5 day daily. It's going to pull all 5 days. It's so in order to get day 3, I need it to have all 5 days, and then I need the agent to go through it to parse it based on what I asked for. All right. So let's see. Interpret the user's request, including specific time, date, or location, and then use the provided forecast to deliver a clear sense of temperature, raining, wind. Deliver the information casually. It needs to give me what I asked for. That's the important point. Okay. And so here's our response. Looking ahead 3 days from now, you're in for a scorcher with plenty of sunshine lighting up the day. Expect temps climbing to toasty 97. And so we can actually check that. All right. So today's date, the 24th. All right. So 24th. And let's see. Can I close this one? Can I close that one? Okay. There's the 25th, 26th. So I guess that would be day 3. Our temperature says 97. And there's our 97. All right. And so it got it right. It's going to feel like 100. It's going to feel like 100. It found the right information and it gave it to us. So it's exactly what we want it to do. And then it goes through the same ending process where it messages us back on Slack and then uploads all the information to Postgres. And it does the same thing for the 1 day, except it's not going to be as convoluted because it's only pulling 1 day. So again, we have our endpoint being /forecast /v1 /daily /1 day for the 1 day forecast, and then our city code, same API query information we have to send it. That gets put into pretty much the same exact agent. It gets all of that information. It's going to take all the information and give us kind of a comprehensive understanding of what our weather is. This is the same prompt that we just looked at. And then if you do the 12-hour hourly for any of these paths, it's going to, the endpoint is forecasts /v1 /hourly /12-hour / your city code. Our query items are all the same. And then it aggregates the 12 hours together because it's going to output 12 items. All right. Instead of, for the 5 day, it put out all of them in one item that I was then able to process. For some reason, the hourly outputs each hour as its own item. So we had to aggregate it together. Then we run that through the AI agent. So here we just give it all this incoming weather data based on what we just had, based on the map of that input, JSON.data.map. And then we run it through pretty much the same exact system prompt to check the weather, but this one's a little different because it needs to make sure that it gives you what you asked for, because you're probably asking for, what is it going to rain tonight? Well, tonight isn't today, right? That's later today, probably a certain range of hours. So I give it some language here. Interpret the user's request. Maybe I didn't. I know I included it in the examples just because of the fact that saying tonight doesn't mean today. And so it has to look forward to tonight. Will it be windy tonight? And so it's going to look for, 6 to 9 p.m. when you say tonight. And it's going to pull that information. All right. And then it responds to you just the same. So that is the local process. Well, technically that's all of the processes at the end. So all of them are going to be the same. All right, all of them are the same. I'm not going to go over the ending for any of the rest of these because it is exactly the same as what we just covered. But I will cover the kind of the regional level information here, and then the foreign level up to the if nodes. All right, so regional level. I currently have it set to North America. If your region, your continent is not North America, then you'll need to go and you need to find out what your region code is. I would update this. And then what I did is I put in all of the country codes right here. And I mapped them here. All right, so if you're in Europe, you would want to put in your country codes and you would want to map them to their specific code. And that's all in AccuWeather. You just go and just pull it. It'll give you a list. All right, and that will allow you to skip the need to search for the country code when looking for a city code to then look up. All right. Or if you want to just keep it to North America, you can do that as well. But what this does is it's going to map the city that you are asking for to its country code. And it's going to output the city that you're looking for. All right. So if I come out here, our output parser here, it's going to map my city, my country code, and my city. So country code for France is FR, Paris is the city. And then that gets passed to the AccuWeather here. And so here's our endpoint. It's the dataservice.accuweather.com/locations/v1/cities. And then we do our JavaScript for our country code /search. And that's going to give you all of the cities inside of that country. It's going to return a big list of all of the cities inside the country. And again, we actually, no, I guess we don't. We're gonna do a query for the search of the city right here. That's even better. So API is the API key. Our language, make sure you include your right language, and then you do a Q query parameter with the city name, which was the city that was output in this output parser right here. All right, so city be Paris in the country code of France. They'll then look up France and find the city code for Paris for you. Now, most other countries don't have to worry about this. This is something that you do have to worry about, at least in the United States that I'm aware of, is that you're going to have multiple cities of the same name here. And because of that, I had it do this search in order to find the code. I aggregate all of the cities together. It's going to output all of the different cities named, like if I was using US as the example and searching for Lincoln. Lincoln is a name that there's like 15 different cities, if not more, in this country. They're all named Lincoln. All right, and so I'm going to aggregate them all together. I'm then going to pass that on to the next agent. The next agent is going to then determine, based on that map, which one you're most likely to be discussing. All right, so if you say, hey, what's the weather going to be like tonight in Lincoln? Most likely, the most likely version of Lincoln in the United States would be Lincoln, Nebraska, because I'm fairly certain that's the capital of Nebraska. I hope. Otherwise, I need to go back and study geography with my daughter. So Lincoln, Nebraska, probably be the one that it searches. But if I said, Lincoln, Washington, when I did my query, it's going to go find the city code for Lincoln, Washington, because it was just given all of the city codes for all the different cities name the same thing. And so that's what this logic is for, is this guy finds the city code for the city that you're asking about. And then it also outputs whether you're searching for that current condition or the forecast request, the 1 day, 5 day, or 12-hour hourly. All right, and so this is all this agent does, is it's looking for the code. So here's my examples. We're looking about Akron, Ohio. Well, if I said Akron, it would find Akron, Ohio as the #1 because that's the biggest Akron in our country, but there are other Akrons in the United States. And so it would found the code and it would output that code and whether I'm looking for the current conditions or a forecast request. All right. It's not supposed to guess outside of the list. It's only supposed to use the data. Our output parser does 3 items: the city code, current conditions, and forecast request, depending on what you're looking for. All right. And then goes through the processing that we discussed before. So I'm not going to cover that any further. And then we have our foreign path. Our foreign path is actually pretty much the same as the country path right here. So all of that is the same as this part was down here. It's all the same because all we're really doing is we're adding in a step of trying to find the country code. If we're looking in a foreign region, foreign continent, I don't necessarily know what the country code for Belarus is. But if I wanted to find the temperature right now in a city in Belarus, I don't know a name of a city for Belarus off the top of my head. But if I knew the city and I said, what is the temperature for that city in Belarus? I don't know the country code. I have to look it up first. And so that's what this one does. This agent is going to take our message. It's going to then identify that it needs to come up with our region code first. So we need to do a call to AccuWeather based on our region code in order to find our country code. All right, and so you tell it what city you're looking for. Hopefully you tell it what country that city is in. It'll identify what continent, or more specifically the region that it is in for AccuWeather. That gets output over to here. This HTTP request node is dataservice.accuweather.com/locations/v1/countries/ and then here's where our region code gets put in. We don't have that extra query here because we don't know what the country is yet. So we have our API key and our language. And that's all it does. It's going to output a list of countries for that region. Those all get aggregated together, just a simple aggregate. It's then going to go through that same process of, okay, hey, you now have the region code. You have all the country information, all of the different countries with their region or their country codes. Then we run it through this AI agent, which identifies the city to the country. It outputs the country code and the city name, just as we were doing before. And then it goes through the process of looking up the city, or using the country searching for the city in that country. It's going to pull all of the different versions of the city it finds, if there are more than one, and then runs it through the same processing we did before, where we get that city code list and we process it and go and try to find the specific city that we're talking about in the country that we're talking about. And then it identifies the city code, whether you're searching for current conditions, and whether you're searching for a forecast request, whether 1 day, 5 day, or 12-hour hourly. And then it just runs it through the same process everything else was getting run through over here. All right, same process. And it's going to get you that information, report back in Slack, upload the information back into Postgres so you can continue a conversation from there. So as you can see, this weather retrieval agent can automatically get you weather information anytime you want for free, allowing you to build out travel planning agents that can even help you plan and reserve locations based on the weather. And how cool is that? So if you found this video helpful, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like and share the video. It really does help get this information out to those who need it. And if you want more helpful n8n tutorials, or if you'd like to have more awesome workflows just like this, be able to build out these tools into really awesome agents, really cool executive assistant agents, marketing plan generating agents, all kinds of agents, make sure to click on the link in the description below to go to my free school community, where you're going to be able to get this workflow for free right now, as well as a ton of others. As always, I'm Bradford Carlton. Let's automate your success together.